Hi, welcome to my studio. So I have a dedicated space with a potter's wheel and a wedging table and work shelves and storage and everything. But this is actually brand new for me this year. I don't expect you to have a dedicated space. But we can talk about the sorts of spaces you might be able to have. Notice that with my workout here, I've got my tools and I've got my canvas you're gonna have some canvas come in your kit. That's about all the space I need. So, you know, 1.5 to 2 feet of space. It would be really helpful for some of the work if you have a sturdy surface. So whether that's a sturdy table or whether that's the floor or outside is fine. In fact, I have worked with children out there in our backyard on the cement. Or you can take a box outside. So you can be really flexible. You don't have to have a dedicated space. But there are some things that are going to make it easier for you, to work in your space. One of those is that if you have a space that can be not accessible while you're working, or at least somewhat blocked off while you're working. So I have this fancy door that I can shut, right? But I know that's not always possible. So one of the things that you're gonna have to balance in your space is when you have kids come in, or if you have kids in your life, or pets, are they gonna get into your stuff? One of the things I recommend people sometimes have is a lidded Rubbermaid bucket. Those are some pretty large ones there. A smaller one, I've lost the lid to this guy, but you know, something that size can be helpful. Or if you don't have something like that, the dry cleaner plastic I have is good plastic, keeps things wrapped up well. And you can just store stuff in a cardboard box. So the nice thing about that is you can close it up and you can put it up out of the way. In fact, I have my stuff stored up high where neither the cats nor the child end up going. Other things to keep in mind is if kids want to work with you, I know it's sometimes tempting to have them come in and work with you, but when that happens, you sometimes end up teaching rather than doing your own work. And so I would encourage you to think hard about your children, if you have children, and how much they're gonna pull you away from doing your work. You also have a somewhat limited amount of clay. We're gonna get you 25 pounds of clay at the start. It's gonna come in a bag like this. I might recommend double bagging it. We live in a dry climate, but we're hopefully gonna be able to get you extra clay later in the quarter. And in that case, you'll be able to, you know, keep working, but you don't really have enough for your kid to work with the clay themselves. It is possible to purchase clay, so if you're interested, I'll talk to you about what that is. The other thing I want to have you think about is making sure that you're able to clean up after yourself. So when we work with clay, the clay sticks to stuff, of course. It washes out of clothes really well, so you can have an apron, but you can also just plan to wash your clothes in between. It's fine, it'll come out. It won't stain, but when it dries out, it turns into dust. And when you get dust on the surface, you can see my table's pretty clean, but I got a little bit here from before. In fact, I think yep, you can see dust coming out of my brush that I haven't cleaned. That stuff, when you go to wipe it or walk in it, it's gonna kick up into the air and you're gonna breathe that, and you do not wanna do that. In fact, I mop my floor in here pretty regularly because otherwise I'll be tracking the clay around the studio, or she will. So you're gonna wanna make sure that you have an area that you can wipe up. And in fact, when you're counting your studio time, you can think about my setup and my cleanup. If I have to lay out all my tools each time, and if I have to wipe up after myself, count that as part of your studio time, because that's part of what you would have to do in a shared studio and what you have to do to keep your own space clean at home. Thanks.